If you hate cold calling, cold emailing, and want to stop chasing people to sell them something, then you must become the go-to thought leader in your niche. Doing so will lead people to come to you. Applying the personal branding strategy insights we'll share with you in this video will get you closer to that goal. These insights come from the top strategies in history. Some of these insights were used to create the biggest empires in the history of our planet. Although you won't be fighting battles with swords or gunpowder, you will be doing so with content. And the territories you will conquer are not physical, but digital and psychological. To become a go-to thought leader, you need to dominate certain keywords and topics with the ultimate goal of conquering certain thoughts and emotions in the minds of your audience and ideal clients. Keep watching this video to learn more about how you can create a winning personal branding strategy. Delegate, trust, and conquer. Karl Marx was an Austrian quartermaster general, an influential member of the Austrian military. In 1800, he was advocating for a preemptive strike against France. This was a guy who wanted to dominate. There's a quote by him that says that in war, the object is to beat the enemy, not merely avoid being beaten. The campaign Mac was leading for that preemptive strike started in September of that year and got him along the Danube towards Ulm, deep in the heart of Bavaria. He was so advanced in this transition that if Napoleon, the leader of France, sent troops across the Rhine into Germany and Bavaria, the Austrians would know and would take action to slow him down. It was calculated that Napoleon's 70,000 men army would take about 2 months to get from the Rhine to Ulm, and by that time, the Austrians would have linked up with the Russians and easily taken Alsace and France. It was a great strategy on paper. But by the end of September, Mac realized something was off. Out of nowhere, his scouts were sharing information about a French army that was passing through the Black Forest, located to the west of Ulm. This didn't make sense, as the best move for Napoleon was to cross the Rhine into Germany further into the north. Even if this move through the Black Forest was a decoy, Mac had to move troops to defend his position. He had to send part of his army west into the Black Forest. Some days later, another scout report shared information about a large French army somewhere north of his position. Some said at Stuttgart, which was 60 miles northwest, but others said that it was north, but way closer to Ulm. Mac, letting confusion take over him, decided to order all his troops back to Ulm to concentrate forces. Later, the scouts were able to confirm what actually happened. There was a French army blocking Mac's way back to Austria and cutting off the Russians at the same time. The army had crossed the Danube to the east of Ulm. Mac couldn't understand how this was possible. He was about to panic, but realized there was a weak point. The northeast was protected by a small French force. As he began to prepare to march in that direction, scouts reported a large French force appeared overnight and was blocking the northeastern route. Later, Mac discovered that the Russians had decided to not send troops, and on October the 20th, he surrendered. More than 60,000 Austrian soldiers were taken prisoner with almost no shots fired. This has been recognized as one of the biggest bloodless victories in history. Napoleon was able to pull this off because of a particular strategy he was leveraging. Nobody else was using that strategy at the time. It consisted in dividing his army into several mini armies. Instead of moving a whole army of 200,000 men, Napoleon would divide it into groups of 15,000 to 30,000. The trick was that each of these groups had its own cavalry, infantry, artillery, and general staff, making each group a miniature version of the whole army headed by a miniature Napoleon. This fluid style was what allowed each of those groups to move around Ulm, making it seem from my perspective that Napoleon had more than 70,000 men available. There's much to learn from this historical event that we can apply to our personal brand strategy. If we want to conquer our niche and become the go-to thought leader, we must delegate and trust the team we work with. Whether that is an internal team, a personal branding agency, or a personal branding consultant you're partnering with, you must build processes so that not all actions have to be approved by you. By building personal branding guidelines, personal brand voice guidelines, and personal branding templates, you can delegate much of the content creation process while you focus on the big picture. Applying these personal branding strategy insights. If you like these insights and are hungry for more, then I have good news for you. There is more. For more personal branding insights from historical figures who were able to almost dominate the world, you can read the top 13 personal branding strategy tips from Napoleon Bonaparte. If you want more details about what you get with a personal branding strategy, you can get some insights from our services page where there's a description of the personal branding strategy services. Whenever you're ready to get started with the creation of your personal branding strategy, you can apply to book a complimentary consultation call with us. And if you want more historical war stories, I'd recommend you read the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene.